is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning to all of you out there. Welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk, streaming with all of you out there on Cova Sports TV, wherever you may be. Hope it's a glorious Saturday on this 6th day of April, the year 2024. I am Matt Hatfield. The other guy is the coach, Ed Young, who was proudly wearing his New York Yankees polo. Unfortunately, I wish I could just yank that off him and just, throw it in the trash.
How they pop shirts, There it is. New York Yankee logo, early start. Don't get overly excited. Long way to go. We won the first week of the season. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we've got some special guests that are going to join us this morning, including Steve Lappas of CBS Sports Network, covering the men's Final Four. In fact, he was on TV yesterday. I was watching. They had some of the March Madness CBS Sports Network coverage as the teams were participating. Alabama, NC State, UConn, the defending champion, and Purdue, the other number one seed, to go with the Huskies. A lot of people expecting a UConn-Purdue showdown on Monday night. And what a night we were treated to on Friday on the women's Final Four. And we're hoping to be joined with here in just a moment by Karen Barefoot, the former Old Dominion women's basketball coach who starred at Christopher Newport University, starred at Menchville High School, has a decorated background here in the 757, also coached at UNC Wilmington, first basketball player to record 2,000 points and 1,000 assists in any career for an NCAA division male or female player. And she's got a new book out. So we're going to be chatting, we hope, with Karen in just a few moments this morning here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk as we go through everything that's happening in the world of basketball, but we'll also talk on some other sports and touch on some other sports if time permits throughout the morning. Dan says, good morning. Ed needs a Ranger shirt. He needs a Diamondback shirt. I could give him one of those. Get rid of the Yankee stuff. Yeah, what happened yesterday, by the way, against the Blue Jays? The Toronto shut you out at home. Was that the first home shutout opening loss?
Opening home shutout. Yeah,
you were a little tight then. You were sitting there in the what do you call it? The crib, throwing your binky and stuff crib on TV.
Yep, my mansion.
By the way, let's give a quick. I know it's a day late. Sometimes I'm a day late and a dollar short, as they say. Let's wish my co-host a happy belated birthday. He turned 27, ladies and gents, on Friday, April the 5th.
I wish.
Congratulations. I would play the birthday song, but I don't have it queued up, unfortunately. Maybe Nick Senti in our group back in Mission Control can play that before we sign off this morning for you.
I try to sneak by without getting a year older, and you and many others reminded me you're old. Yeah. So I thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes. It came out. Still trying to say thank you personally to everybody. Took a second or two. 27 would be great. Some people think I'm 37. In actuality, I just turned 92. So
92.
92.
You're looking good for 92.
I'm trying. So
looking pretty good for 92.
We'll just see if the good Lord will let me maybe have another one. And maybe this coming year I can sneak through if I'm lasting that long.
Yeah. So
exactly, man.
Go over with this morning here on the program. You can always interact with us on Cova Sports TV. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, or as Ed likes to say, InstaFace, Snapgram, all those good things on the social media pages.
Hey,
you are becoming an IG character, I understand, by the way. But go ahead. What were you?
Yeah, and I'm getting a X here pretty soon. You used to be Twitter handle. I'm going to be getting that. I did announce when we went podcast that I would do it here on podcast show. We just haven't put it down yet. You will guide me through it in terms of how to sign up, and I will then have a Twitter account. I'm joining the 2024s. Dan Malloy's name was just up there. Congrats to all the people. Have you heard? Has everybody heard?
No. Bird's a word. Is that what have I heard?
Bird's a word. And Ferrum is moving to Division II in a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Yep, we'll be making the move from Division III, joining the Carolinas Conference as a Division II member, which is a scholarship program. And it's exciting because it opens your profile a little bit more. And big things happening for Ferrum. So congrats, Dan, assistant basketball coach there, to the Ferrum family. moving on into Division II. I think it becomes full effect 2025 season for all their sports.
Well, while you drop nuggets on the show this morning, I'll drop one that we have.
No. If I drop nuggets, Bear would be eating them all up right now. I never drop them. Chick-fil-A. Whoops, I should have never said that.
Oh, you just gave them. What are you doing?
A plug. God dang it! Somebody from that food place, please sponsor the show because I eat those nuggets every day.
By the way, 25.
Okay, Dan, 25, 26. Okay.
Yeah. No, stop giving free plugs to people. We do have some wonderful sponsors that make it possible for us to stream with you all here on Cova Sports TV through our Facebook pages, our YouTube. Subscribe and share to that. By the way, as we put it up there, we put the men's bracket up. Did you see what the Tides did last night? 11-10 in 10 innings. Friday night, Truist Field. We're going to get to the college basketball in a second. 10 runs in the first inning. But then the Knights came storming back to score 10 unanswered. So it happens in minor league baseball too, by the way. Fortunately, let's hope there was no shekels thrown down to that. To force extras. The 10-run first inning broke open the game. How about the Tides, though? They've been hitting home runs at a crazy clip. I might even show you a blast later on the show here. But
had 27 runs earlier against Charlotte.
Yeah, so I was going to say, we might show you a blast.
I think again, you scored.
Cova Sports TV website, as you know, our man Jack Lowe's been giving you updates. We've been pass along updates on covasports.com with the Tides. And I might go out there next week. I might get you to come out there with me too as they play Scranton, the Yankees affiliate, for a game. But a lot of great things going on in the area. You got the PIT coming up, Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. Last night's women's Final Four. I want to get your thought on it. And I'm already upset. I'm in a cranky mood. And usually I'm the guy that blasts the officials and you defends them. But I have a funny feeling it's role reversal this morning because I saw no problem whatsoever with the call that took place last night. As you already shake your head. What's illegal is illegal, and what's legal is legal. You can't go into a store and take something and run out. You can't commit a foul and expect it not to be called there. Everybody is screaming at the top of their lungs. First and foremost, they act as if the shot was going to get off with ease from Paige Beckers or one of her teammates as the time was ticking down, and they're going the opposite direction after that play was pretty much, I thought, dead in the water. Second of all, nobody's talking about this morning the failed box out for UConn on the defensive side of the floor to get the rebound. Everybody's screaming about, oh, you don't call that in that spot. Really? Ask an official, any veteran official on the men's side or women's side, if it's a foul, it's a foul. You call it. Case closed. And let me tell you something. As you shake your head, Aaliyah Edwards, UConn, Gino Orman did a wonderful job, but it was a foul call. And before you even chime in, and I'm going to let you chime in, don't worry. We got some comments. We have a couple of clips here from Gino and from Caitlin Clark and from UConn players. I'm going to start with the players. Paige Beckers, who's a wonderful talent. She was asked about it, and here's what she said.
We just had a play. I thought we were going to run it. I thought we executed it well. We were going to get a shot off. The whistle blew. I didn't see it. It was in the rear of me. I was just trying to come off the screen. Everybody can make a big deal of that one single play, but not one single play wins a basketball game or loses a basketball game. I feel like there was a lot of mistakes that I made that could have prevented that play from even being that big or causing the game. So yeah, you can look at one play and say, oh, that was like that killed us or that hurt us, but we should have done a better job. I should have done a better job of making sure we didn't leave the game up to chance like that and leave the game up to one bad call going our way and that deciding it. So yeah, maybe that was a tough call for us, but I feel like I could have done a better job of preventing that from even happening.
So there you have it. That was Paige Beckers. What class of her, knowing that one play did not determine the outcome. But go ahead. You want to jump in here and make the case why they don't blow the whistle there, why they don't call the foul. And I know I'm in the minority, and you and your cronies will be in the majority, screaming from the high heavens today that UConn was robbed. They were jobbed. It was an injustice. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
First of all, that was great by Paige. Very, very good way to say it. And I'm going to preface my comments by saying there is where you need to focus. If UConn is going to complain about that call, they need to complain about themselves for putting them in a situation where a call or non-call is going to affect them even more. We don't even know if they would have scored in that situation. We just know it took the ball out of their hands. The reason I say it's a bad call, and I agree with you when you say a foul in the first quarter is a foul in the fourth quarter. You're right. But in that situation, screens are really many times a 50-50 type call where, you know what, that's a moving screen by definition, not set. They're leaning into the defender. That's a foul. We're going the other way. In that game, that particular type of screen happened at least that I counted throughout the game 4 other times.
Oh, you did? You counted it? You were jotting it down with a notepad and paper during the game, really?
Wrote it down.
Okay.
Freeze the TV, ran it back.
I'm sure you
All
did.
of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are so full of garbage, but go ahead.
I watched the game different than you. You watch.
I know that. I don't dispute that. Go ahead.
Right. You watch it because you need to win. They need to win by 6.
No, I know. You're funny. You're funny. Good
I
job.
just want to see from a coaching standpoint. Now, in deference to the screen and to the referee, okay, you're watching a game that you feel that the lady was not set or she leaned into it. I'm blowing the whistle. It's a foul. Any veteran official will tell you in that situation, yes, it could be called a foul, could not. I'm not calling it. 5 seconds to go in the game. It's too close of a game, especially in that situation. We're talking TV, national championship. I don't blow the whistle because you don't know if they're going to score anyways. And it's not going to be a situation where Iowa's going to be screaming to the heavens, oh, that was a moving screen. You didn't call it. They're probably going to complain, as most coaches, yours truly, will complain on anything throughout the game because we want every call. I just believe 100% as I watched it live, watched it on the replay 19 times, you don't make that call. Doesn't mean Connecticut wins the game. Now, let's say they screen, the kid takes a shot, the ball goes in, they're up 1, they're up 2, you will leave the basket off, we're going the other way screen. Now you might say that cost them a national championship. Then I revert back to what I just said 18 seconds ago. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to hope that a referee call doesn't hurt you or non-call doesn't hurt you. So that's how I look at it. And all those pundits out there saying, oh, that's a foul, that was a good call. You're right. But in the context of a game.
So what's the problem there? Let's stop right there. Instead of this conspiracy theory that people are trying to lay out ever since Iowa beat West Virginia in a close game where there was it seemed to be some questionable calls and some tight calls and some whistles that went Iowa's way. And again, last night, 14 free throw attempts for the Hawkeyes compared to 4 for UConn. I think Gino Auriemma is a wonderful coach. He's a genius. I think he's gotten the maximum out of this team that was basically reduced to 8 players, 7 if you want to count even one that was pretty much hobbled throughout the game. Okay, I get all that. But would there be as much outrage and let's just call it what it is. There's a lot of Iowa Caitlin Clark hatred out there. If it was the other way around, if this was Iowa down 1 and they called a moving screen, a foul's a foul. I don't care who it's on. So you just said it. It was a foul. Is it unfortunate that the game was decided there and there was not a shot at the end? Absolutely. I feel for you on that front. But it was a foul. They're going to call, referee's going to call that more times than not. It's a moving screen. And Gabby Marshall, to her credit, I mean, she basically, when you see how she, the contact, I think she did a good job with it. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. What you would teach a kid in coming off the screen that if you want to try to garner a call, you could do it. And some people say that's unethical coaching. But, you've got to look for ways in a game to put your team in a situation to win. I'm not for unethical stuff, but I'm for teaching little nuances of the game that a lot of people don't see. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's an unethical because nobody's talking about that anyways. It's just the fact of a screen is when you set a screen, the body must be stationary and you can't lean left or right. You can't put your hands out. I used to teach screening with our hands in, elbows out, but we don't lean. We don't jab somebody, but we create space so that your partner can your teammate get around your screen too, and hopefully the defender will run into the screen. So there's a method to the madness of teaching a screen, and a screen be like a charging foul. A lot of times it's up to the referee's judgment on what it is. There's a rule in the rule book, yes. But there are many times people say, oh, that was a charge. No, it wasn't. and nothing was called. And same thing with a screen. And I think maybe a screening action behind the charging call is the next. What? That wasn't a foul? That was a foul? That's where you get that. And that's why I say in that situation, I'm refereeing. I'm not making that call. I'm going to quote, let the players win the game on the actual play instead of my whistle. But again, Paige said it the right way. We should have never put ourselves in that situation. We didn't play well enough to separate. Conspiracy theories about Caitlin Clark in Iowa. I don't hate to use the word conspiracy, but there are haters and there are lovers. I don't think there's anybody in the middle. Me personally, I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's a great program. They've done well. She's a tremendous, tremendous talent. She is not the greatest women's basketball player of all time. She's in a conversation. Go ahead and put it in there.
Sure.
I don't think
Lisa Leslie, Dinah Taurasi. There's a lot of great players. I think she's in the company until she wins the championship. I don't think you can crown her as the best. She's among the best. I agree with you. That's another discussion for their time here. And we got Karen Barefoot coming up. I just did hear from her. She's going to join us audio-wise. That won't probably have her facially on the screen, but that's great. We're going to talk with her about what she thought about the Final Four. I think she's in Cleveland, by the way, like Lappas is in the desert out there in Arizona for the women's Final Four in Cleveland, the men's out there in Phoenix. But before we go to break or before we hear from Coach Barefoot about her new book as well, we do have some audio, we do have some sound, we do have some video from what Gino Oriana said about the screen, as well as something else, which we'll try to get to as well, plus a little bit of snippet of Caitlin Clark, who made a great play that nobody's lauding yet this morning, which everybody's forgetting about. Here's Gino on the screen, illegal screen, call it, not call it. Here's what he said after the game, after that 71-69 Iowa thriller that was marred in some people's eyes by controversy outlasting the Huskies of UConn.
You know, what did you make of the illegal screen call there at the end?
I mean, there's probably an illegal screen call you could make on every single possession. I just know there were 3 or 4 of them called on us, and I don't think there were any called on them. So I guess we just got to get better at not setting illegal screens.
We got to get better at not setting illegal screens. He wasn't too pleased about that.
He didn't say what he really wanted to say.
He didn't.
Contrite.
But Ed, and he pretty much said what you said. He could call it a lot of plays, and I get that. But again, if it's a foul, we're not going to just let it blood the whistle. To me, that's my feeling on it. And I understand most fans feel the way you do about that situation. So, anywho, a lot to go over with y'all this morning. Here's we'll talk about the women's Final Four, the championship game coming up, which will feature Iowa against the undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks. Last year, Iowa knocked them out in the national semis. Plus, you got the men's Final Four coming up. We'll be chatting with Steve Lappas. Before we bring in Coach Karen Barefoot, former 757 great who starred at Menchville. Christopher Newport also has roots with the Apprentice School. We're going to take a quick time out and hear from some of the sponsors and make it possible for us here on Cova Sports TV and 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Back in just a moment.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on this latest edition of our program on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe wherever you may be. And we are glad you are with us on this particular Saturday. And we are now on the program joined by a special guest. She is a former head women's basketball coach at Old Dominion University. She has a new book out, which you will see here on the screen a little bit about that. And it is A Champion's Blueprint to Success, a step-by-step guide to build a life of courage, resilience, and unparalleled success. And she writes this book, 10 Steps from a National Championship winning women's basketball coach and NCAA record setter to assist you in sports business and life, with our good friend Marty O'Brien, longtime sports reporter for the Daily Press and Virginian Pilot. You know her from, of course, her days when she coached at Old Dominion and UNC Wilmington, as well as Elon, also coached at the Apprentice School. Glory there, set records as we mentioned earlier in the program. She was inducted in the C&U Hall of Fame in 1999, first male or female player to score 2,000 points, 1,000 assists in a career. So she might know a little bit of what Caitlin Clark's encountering right now. Newport News native out of Menchville High School. We say good morning to Coach Karen Barefoot. Coach, you out there? How you doing this morning?
Oh, good morning. I'm doing awesome. It's a great atmosphere here, as you can imagine.
Yeah, we'll get into your book in just a little bit, and I'm sure you can help settle the debate that Ed and I are having as a coach and former standout player about last night's ending, which people are talking about. You were there to take in the Final Four with South Carolina's 78-59 win in the semifinals against one of our 757 greats in Aziaha James, who started at Princess Anne High School. We were privileged to call many of her games on the NFHS network as NC State's great run came to an end against Dawn Staley's undefeated Gamecocks. And then the game that followed that was much anticipated as well, maybe even more anticipated by some, with Iowa edging UConn 71-69. The Huskies led by 12 in the second quarter. Iowa got up 9 with 5:42 to go. UConn came storming back. Your thoughts on just the games and what transpired at the end of that ball game last night with UConn and Iowa? Was it a foul? Not a foul? Do you call it there?
I don't call that foul, but it's hard. I mean, in the moment, I guess that they saw something that I couldn't see or we couldn't see, but it's the game, right? You try to think that last play doesn't dictate the whole game, right? But I hated to see that call, to be honest with you. I was the NC State. Came in, I was rooting for James and did the send off with the school and the administration, everybody, because was there to. What a great year for them, and what she's done has been unbelievable. So, women's basketball is in a great place.
Yeah, it really is. So you're in agreement with Ed there. I'm almost more the letter of the law guy that says it's a foul, you call it. But I understand why you and Coach Young and many feel that way. And I just mentioned it, and we'll talk about your great career, both as a player and as a coach, and now being an author here with a book in just a little bit. But my goodness, you have to be just thrilled to death about the women's game where it is right now, that it's getting so much attention, not just locally, statewide, but nationally here with some of these big name players like a Paige Beckers at UConn, and Angel Reese at LSU, a Juju Watkins at Southern Cal, and of course, Caitlin Clark and so many others, that this game is exploding, where they're talking about 12.3 million viewers for an Elite Eight game. We're talking about millions and millions tuning in for the Final Four, the championship, and it's getting as much, maybe more attention than the men's game, and almost at a point now where it's been so long overdue, right?
Over long. I mean, it's been too long. And so for me, it's so much joy in my heart. When I think back when I was a little girl fighting to play, in any girls' league, and I didn't get a chance to till I was in high school. And so, for me to look up to people like Nancy Lieberman, who was my idol, who I ended up choosing number 10 because of her, and got the number retired because she inspired me. That's what I was talking about in my book, being brave and bold. It's those moments where, so many people paved the way to now see reaping the benefits of just the, people watching the game, the views, and just being able to last night at the game itself, a packed crowd, energy, it was just so exciting. I can't even put it into words. It's just so exciting for the young athletes. It really is.
It really is. We're talking with Karen Barefoot, the former women's basketball coach at Old Dominion, won a championship at the Apprentice School, started at Christopher Newport University and Menchville High School, got a new book out, A Champion's Blueprint to Success, a step-by-step guide to build a life of courage, resilience, and unparalleled success. Our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, streaming all over the web on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and so much more. Here on the program, we bring in Coach Ed Young. Ed, you're on with Karen Barefoot. Go ahead.
Hey, Karen. Congrats on the book. Congrats on a really great career. Miss you on the sidelines. And, I just wanted to say you're probably more relaxed, less stressed. And you haven't lost a game in a while because as you sit there in Cleveland and watch everybody, you are saying, I would have made that decision. I would have called that timeout. It's so much easier when you're not having your own team, I think. Matt and I do a lot of broadcasting state championships, and I haven't lost a game yet. It's just my team ain't with me.
Well, you know what I'm really enjoying the most is being a fan and being able to be there and help people, as I would say, assist people. Mentoring people is something I think is so needed. And so for me to be able to be where I'm at, where I can and help people adjust, give my view, whether it's a young lady athlete or if it's just, somebody in the coaching world new getting in, or even it's someone who's experienced and said, hey, what would you have done? So I'm still coaching. I'm still doing that. But it is so exciting to be a fan, to kind of sit back and see, because I've been going since I was 22 years old. I never, ever had a chance to even look back and see, just even what my journey or what has happened. So it's really fun for me right now. And I'm just taking it all in, honestly.
Well, Karen, I got to ask you, we're saying that the women's game is in a great place right now. A lot of the personalities, Caitlin Clark, Angela Reese, the James girl from North Carolina State, who's from our area, a lot of people out there. But, I say to people, the women's game, I think, has been good. There's been personalities. It's just that I don't know why, but it's taken off so much in the last couple of years. You got your coaches, Kim Mulkey, of course, Gino at UConn, Don Staley at South Carolina, big personality type coaches, and you have that in the men's. And I just wonder why we worry so much about the girls' game. And you've been the player, you've done well. You've coached, you've done well. Now you're kind of an ambassador for that game. And by the way, I'm going to ask you soon, when are you getting back on the sideline? Why do you think people don't just really embrace women's basketball like it should be?
I just think in the back of their minds, they want to, right? It's always been like, the past years and, just, okay, they want to be able to, watch the game. But then you saw this passion. In the last couple of years, even with Caitlin Clark and you see Angel Reese, you saw this competitive edge. For some reason, it caught people's attention of, why not watch them? I mean, here we go. It's more than a game, right? These girls are working their butts off to try to make careers, to make opportunities, even broadcasting. You're seeing females really get out there and broadcast, do all, just get involved with the game at all different levels. And, it's exciting because I think it just really, truly, where I think that it kind of got a lot of attention was the game last year with Caitlin and Angel Reese. I'll be honest with you, right? It was a little controversy. You got, it's kind of like, okay, it's like a soap opera. It's kind of like, okay, is Angel, is she a villain? I mean, how it kind of got to the point where people were intrigued. And it's beautiful because I even think that even if you really think about, I know people don't want to talk about this, Taylor Swift, to even go into the NFL and watch it, little girls are paying attention to just the fact that, oh my gosh, it's just sports is great, and you can learn a lot from sports. And even when I'm coaching the business world, I can relate so much into the business world with sports. And it's really awesome to watch, honestly. And I think it's only going to get better. You see Juju. Oh my gosh. Can she not play in the NBA? Really?
Good.
I mean, I think she's going to be the first female to play really legit in the NBA, get drafted there. I'm calling it.
Wow. And I was surprised too, Coach, that into that game against UConn, I thought it was there for the taking her, but maybe she's still just, still just a freshman, but it's some of the things she does on the court. She made a move in the open court. You might remember it was in the fourth quarter. I think it was either tied it up or put them within 2. And I was like, there's a lot of dudes out there that can't do what she just did. Just
exactly.
a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. I mean, I think that, they're gym rats. They want it. I mean, I think that there's so many role models. I say this all the time. There are so many female role models right now that people look up to, and it's not just 1 or 2, it's multiple. And it's so exciting for the game, and the coaching is getting better. And I think the WBCA has really stepped out and really done a lot more, and provided, mentorships for younger coaches to be better at coaching. You think about me coming right into coaching. I had no experience, and the opportunities back then, there was not a lot. So it's really evolved big time.
We'll circle back to the championship game coming up on Sunday, which will feature undefeated South Carolina in a rematch of last year's Final Four. They lost to Iowa with Caitlin Clark and company trying to finish off the journey in style here. But you went from obviously great success as a player, which you talk about in your book, from Menchville and Christopher Newport University, where you're in its Athletics Hall of Fame, and then coaching at the Apprentice School, championship there. Lenore Ryan, you become an assistant at Old Dominion. Elon, you then take over at a program with a legend in Wendy Larry at Old Dominion, and it's since been followed by you from some other highly known names in the women's game, like the late, great Nikki McCray-Princeton, and now Delisha Milton-Jones in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. You take over a storied Old Dominion program. So you have a great appreciation of what women's basketball means on a local, statewide, and national front. Just looking back at your journey, and I'm sure you can talk about this in the book. What compelled you to do the book now, A, and B, what was the part now that you've been over with the book and you've gotten some feedback and you're going to get more from those that go out and get it, and that's really kind of opened your eyes about, wow, this was a real amazing part of my journey that I don't know if I would have believed it as a young little girl.
Well, let me tell you this, in 1994, when I had that stellar career and I got some exposure, just say back in the day, not even close to now, right? ESPN, I was in Sports Illustrated, Faces of the Crowd, all that. I was going to play professional in Sweden. There was no WNBA till 1997. And, the opportunities were slim, but, I was going to go overseas. And then I thought about, an athletic director down the road asked me this opportunity to start women's sporting program at the Apprentice School and started with basketball because they had never had it there. My uncle, grandfather, dad, all of them went through the Apprentice School. So I leaned on people like Pat Summitt, who actually reached back out to me. And I leaned to people like, Wendy Larry, Ann Donovan, just celebrities. I mean, in the world of basketball, and Old Dominion was historical, and it still is, it's like that program everybody knows. That guidance helped me become who I am because I had no experience at that age. All I could do was remember me being that athlete on the floor, right? Being coached by Boo Williams in AAU basketball, which he's a giant. And I just took all the stories I've had since I was 22 years old, and I was encouraged to keep a journal. Well, I had like 30 journals. So along my whole coaching career, I just kept writing stories. And I was encouraged, back in the day, from Boo Williams and all them to, hey, you be the author of your book one day. You tell your stories. And I kind of didn't know I was going to write a book one day, but it was one of the things I really wanted to do as I got into, coaching in the late 30s. And I kept saying to myself, there's some great stories, and I hope I can assist and help people. You just think about a basketball huddle. You think about a 30-second timeout or a 60-second timeout. How many seconds do you actually have to talk to your team so they can go out there and execute? Everybody's got to be locked in. All their eyes have got to be there. One person is not listening, it'll mess the whole play up. So as I focused on writing this book, and I've been writing it for a long time, Marty O'Brien helped me see another side and really dove deep into the execution and what it took. And it was awesome to be able to write this for the past year and a half. And I think that it's been the biggest joy of my life, maybe the biggest accomplishment, to be honest with you. People who kind of compare writing a book like having labor, book labor. It is not easy. It's like book labor because, you're putting everything that you have. And I'm a motivational coach. I like to motivate my team, not just, execution, X and O's. It's more than basketball. It's teamwork. It's leadership. It's communication. It's extra communication. It's slam dunk communication. It's all those things. And so I think for me, this book really is heartfelt, and I've coached at all levels. and every level's been great. And every experience has been different and awesome. But there's nothing more special than being part of the team.
We're chatting with Karen Barefoot, the former standout at Menchville High School in Newport News, Christopher Newport University Hall of Famer, also won a championship at the Apprentice School and coached at Old Dominion, as well as UNC Wilmington, has a new book out, A Champion's Blueprint to Success, a step-by-step guide to build a life of courage, resilience, and unparalleled success, with Marty O'Brien also helping her write this. And the great remarks have come out. I know it's getting ranked on the web. You can tell people in just a bit about how they can get this book. Brian Kersey, good friend of ours, ACC men's basketball supervisor of officials, says, quote, "Let me start by telling you that if you decide to read Karen Barefoot's book, your self-image will be higher by the time you finish. With Karen, you'll go from I think I can to I know I can, and with the spirit of excellence." It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV, and we'll also get your thoughts here, Karen, in just a moment on who will take the championship coming up on Sunday with Iowa taking on South Carolina. But Ed, you can hear it in her voice. She's got the energy. She's got the passion. She's got that motivation right now. It makes me want to go run 2 laps.
And that would be a disaster, Karen, for him to run 2 laps, because CPR would be needed, and I'm not giving it to him. But Karen, I do hear that in your voice, so I'll ask the question: would you entertain the possibility of coming back? I know probably in your mindset would maybe have to be the exact right position, or no, I'm done. I'm doing this now. My career has changed. What's in Karen Barefoot's mind about coaching her own team again?
Well, I never say never. I will tell you that. Right now, I'm enjoying being a fan, and a lot of coaches and I've talked to some athletic directors too, ADs, and a lot of people are talking to me. It would have to be the right fit, because I'm really enjoying where I'm at, doing strategic planning in the business world, writing books, mentoring people, as I would say, assisting people. That was one thing I always loved to do in the basketball court. I led the nation 4 years in a row in assist. I truly enjoy making the assists and letting other people score. So sitting back and helping people is my thing right now. So I never say never. It'd have to be the right fit, because I love coaching. Do I miss it? Absolutely. But I'm still coaching, and I'm doing things different from the sideline. I'm actually helping people in their own, on the sideline, so they can be successful. So never say never. It'd have to be the right fit. I love my life. I call it orange ball blessings.
That's
Orange ball blessings. I like that. I'll let Ed jump in here with you a moment to finish up and tell people how they can get the book. But I got to ask you, since you were such a great playmaker, not just a scorer, but assists, as you said, getting those dimes. Caitlin Clark, she's known for her score and dropping 40-point games and the logo bombs, but 7 dimes last night, even though she didn't have the best shooting night against UConn. And I thought and we'll play the clip a little bit later on, one of the most heady plays she made in the whole game that's getting overshadowed from last night's ending, and Gino, hats off to him and his UConn team. What they did with, the injuries they did and overcame it is incredible. But I thought the play she made, Karen, at the end of the game, though it only elapsed, I think, 0.3, 0.4 seconds to throw it off the back. How many players nowadays, you see every once in a while, think of that. I just thought her savvy was incredible in that moment to make it even tougher for UConn to get a shot up there at the end. But your take on the matchup with South Carolina, how many assists they'll need, how many threes they'll need to beat Dawn Staley's team, which had a player come off the bench yesterday, as you saw when Ashlyn Watkins get 20 rebounds in a game. Crazy.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Rebound equals rings, okay? R and R. But they're going to have to chase rebounds down. That is going to be the key. And they will have to knock shots down, because if you don't shoot the ball, look at NC State. Well, you're just going to start their transition game. And you're going to just start them moving the ball. Your best offense is going to be your best defense. The plus on the assist. I can see Caitlin getting a lot of people involved. I think when others can step up, that takes a lot off of her. She doesn't have to do as much. It will take a total team effort. The assists got to be up plus 10, I think. I'm being honest with you. I'm going to take my jersey number 10 because I love 10. And I think they've got to be able to shoot the ball very, very well at a high level. I mean, they've got to almost play a perfect game. I'm going to tell you this. You got to give Dawn Staley credit. Let me tell you what she has done. Think about that for 1 minute, okay? All 5 starters were gone after last year. All 5. She brings in a whole different group in. Who does that?
Nobody.
Give her flowers plus flowers, flowers, flowers. I'm pulling for the underdog because I'm the underdog. So I'm going to Iowa, but they've got to play a perfect game.
Yeah, I think the stories, we get so infatuated with, the minutia, sometimes the call or what this coach says or what this athlete does. Last year, the whole Angel Reese with the ring finger and Caitlin Clark, the little back and forth. But I think what gets lost in shuffle, like you said, just the execution, so the games within the game, which I know Ed and I love too, just breaking it down like you have. There are so many neat little storylines and matchups to this game. Camila Cardoza inside's great. And then the role players alongside Caitlin Clark that have stepped up, like Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin. It should be a fantastic game. And if they decide to play up and down both of them, it could be a game a lot like last year's championship game where LSU outlasted Iowa that's played in the upper 80s to 90s, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I want. I want a high score, and I want, high level, elite level play. I want team execution. I want, it's not just about the star. Okay. It's how the star can get the other ones to be All-Americans at their role. Okay. If everybody can play their role to the high level, man, anything can happen down the stretch. And if that happens and it's close, I'm picking Iowa. If it's close, I'm picking them.
There you go. Ed?
Well, Karen, I agree with you. I want it high scoring. I want it close. I think South Carolina wins by 10. I think their focus locked in. Dawn Staley is not going to let anything else happen. Of course, the young ladies got to win it for themselves. But it should be a good one. It should be entertaining. I think in the men's championship, Final Four, it's the same way. I really think UConn and Purdue are 10-point winners in both of those games, and then let the two Titans clash in the final. I got to ask you before we run, I know time is short. I don't think she is. I think she's in the conversation. Caitlin Clark, people are saying she's the best women player ever, changed the entire game. And I take a little bit of a page out of your book where I say, okay, do we forget about the Nancy Liebermans, the Ann Donovans, Lisa Leslie's of the world, Tina Hutchinson, let's go back, Cheryl Swoops, Candace Parker. Clark is in there, but now you've been there. You've gone against some of the greatest. You've been up close. What's your opinion?
I think Caitlin, by far, has made such an incredible impact. I'm not going to take away from any of the things and how amazing player she is. I mean, my gosh, but absolutely not the best player. I think it's a great conversation to have. But you got to look at the Nancy Lieberman. You got to look at, Ann Donovan. Those two right there, to me, are the greatest to ever play the game. And there's a few up there too, I really think, and even like Stewart from UConn, she won 4 national championships. 4 national championships. That's amazing. So I could talk to you all day about this, honestly.
Yeah.
And see, Karen, I mean, not to interrupt you, but that's what I'm saying too. A lot of those UConn, Rebecca Lobo, they had other talent around them that they shared the wealth. So their numbers didn't look as good. They didn't really have that standout personality that's vibed on the TV like Caitlin has it now. And I agree. She is tremendous. I mean, she could probably battle against some of the guys, but to say that, she could do great against NBA players, that she's better than Pete Maravich, when they had that scoring thing going on. I tell people, calm down. You need to be a historian of the girls' game, not somebody that just flipped on the TV and said, oh, there's the greatest player in the world. Know the history. There's been some women who did not get the justifications they should have, and we are absolutely tremendous. Ann Myers, played in the NBA developmental league before it was a real developmental league. She played against men pros. And Nancy Lieberman, no question in my mind, could have played in the NBA. So I tell people, embrace what you're seeing, but learn the history first.
Yep, and I think that's what Caitlin's doing. She's everybody's starting to learn the history because of Caitlin, and right. I love that. Love that.
We'll get you on this, Coach. We thank you so much for the time. How can folks get the book? They see it on our screen. They're going to see it watching the replay of this and hear it on our podcast as well and everything. How can they get a Champion's Blueprint to Success with Karen Barefoot and what they're going to find inside?
Go to Amazon, Brave, Bold, and Barefoot. It's on ebook right now. It is the bestseller. It's been up to top 3, which is incredible. And yes, as of yesterday, it's been a top international seller. So It's pretty awesome. I just thank God just to be able to be real and tell the story and that it can help and assist people in success, business, and life. But super excited about it. I hope people enjoy it. And again, it is making your own story, right? It's creating your own story and making things happen and helping other people out. So Guys, thank you so much for allowing me to come on today. I love 757. In my book, too, I talk about the heart of the peninsula. That's where I came from, and I take pride in that. So thank you so much.
Hey, terrific. We're glad you tell the story. You get to tell it with one of the best in the business, too, with Marty O'Brien. Go ahead, Ed.
Hey, Karen, I got to jump in before you run off. I'm too cheap being a high school teacher and a coach. So you're going to have to send me an autographed copy.
Oh, look what he's doing.
Copy.
It's an autographed copy.
And this dude over here is the same way, because when he goes out and buys food for himself, he don't want to pay. He's cheap too. So if we can get a couple autographed, it'd be tremendous. I know it's a moneymaker for you.
Tell you what we'll do. We'll put it in the background when we go to the Plex. We'll put it in the background with all of our memorabilia of all the 757 greats. That's what we'll do. There you go. Well, Karen, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and I will special deliver it to both of you guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Karen.
That is the one and only Karen Barefoot, brave, bold, and barefoot. Go get it. You heard it. Amazon. She and Marty O'Brien did a terrific job with this book. You see the reviews on our screen from Brian Kersey and Sharonda Mitchell and so many others. Go check it out. It is a bestseller, Ed, and it's an excellent read. I mean, if you hear Karen Barefoot speak, what she's done as a player, as a coach, she inspires you. I mean, there are people out there that have that motivational gift. I think it's a God-given. She's got it in her, and she's got energy for days, and it should be an awesome read for folks, whether you're a basketball fan or not.
Yeah, I mean, she's coming from a different perspective in this too. It's not just the coaching in basketball is the basis of it, but anybody can read this and probably get something out of it as a motivation in their job, in their family, day-to-day life. And I think that's what Karen wanted it to be seen as. So I would encourage people to get out there and see it. And you know what? Listen to her today. She needs to have her own team. She needs to get back on the sideline.
She's gonna coach whether it's on the basketball court or in life. She's doing that on a daily basis, and we were so glad she was able to join us. We've got more on the women's basketball Final Four, the championship game. We're going to also preview the men's Final Four coming up with Purdue taking on NC State, the darling of the tournament, Kevin Keats' Wolfpack. Oh, you know how much I love Kevin Keats. Not really. And Alabama, the Crimson Tide, roll Tide. Where's Phyllis and Mulga? Our man Chuck Thornton loves the Tide. They're taking on the tourney favorite and defending champ UConn. Steve Lappas of CBS Sports coming up in just a bit. He of formerly Villanova fame. We're not going to ask him about Old Dominion in the 1990s, by the way. Someone said, bring that up to us. I'm not doing that to Steve. Steve's a guy. He would take it in stride, but I'm not doing all that. You know, I was against, by the way, was that Mike Jones, P.D. Sessoms, and the Monarchs back in the mid-90s, that crazy classic upset Old Dominion had. But Steve is one of the best in the business. You talk about energy. We've got Karen Barefoot and Steve Lappas today. That'll make you want to go run not just 2 laps, but go to this grocery store, high knees, do the whole thing. Just go crazy today. Those 2 will make you run through a wall.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
Yeah. It will work on your left-hand layups and definitely your defense and setting correct screens.
Yeah, 2 former coaches that can inspire and motivate with the best of them. That's all coming your way in just a bit there here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. We're going to take a timeout, play a little bit more sound. I want to get to another clip from Gino and also Caitlin Clark before we bring in Steve Lappas. So let's take another timeout and hear from some of the great sponsors and supporters that make it possible for us at the Plex, Ed, and that includes the Drip Bar. Yeah. Stay tuned. There's Vinny. Hey, Vinny's here. Vinny Vici. Is that his name? Vinny Vici?
Yep. Vinny Vanu. It's Vinny.
Oh, I thought it was Vinny Vici. It's Vinny Vanu.
That's one of my attorneys.
Oh, you need one these days.
Yeah, that's right.
You definitely need one these days.
And we are in deep conversation about a few things, and he's got his eye on you.
Uh-oh. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned. You're watching Cova Sports TV.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
Pain and Gain, your one-stop shop for all things field hockey. Located in Princess One Shopping Center, Virginia Beach, we carry everything you need on the turf, from black sticks, turf shoes, mouth guards, and much more. Try out your stick before you buy it in our synthetic turf area. Pain and Gain. Embrace the pain, enjoy the game.
A lot of talk from your players. You've talked about the expectations with this program. Obviously, it's not a national championship this year. It's 6 out of the last 7 opportunities to make a Final Four. You make a Final Four at a time that this game has never been harder or had more parity in the game. And I just wonder 2 parts to it. One is, do you find yourself able to take the level of satisfaction you'd like to out of, like you said, the impact you have on people and the success that you have? And do you think that the expectations should be different at this moment?
Well, the expectations at UConn are what they are because we created them. You know, somebody didn't walk into our building and say, okay, this is what's expected of you. You know, we put that on ourselves now for the last 30 years. What pisses me off is that the minute we don't win a national championship for a couple of years, people think that our program now is less worthy of some others that have done it twice or have gone to the Final Four 3 out of the last 4 years. So I think it's more rewarding on my end, not just to win a national championship. Obviously, you want to win a national championship every year, but people should talk about their own accomplishments instead of, you know, talking about what we're not accomplishing. That seems to be the big story. And I said this a long time ago. You know, the only story is like when Tiger was at the height of his career, the only story on every Sunday was he didn't win. Nobody cared who did win. And now people always wanted it to be like, well, can we celebrate other people? Okay, well then celebrate them. And stop talking about us when we don't win a national championship. But again, that's the world that we created. And, you know, we might not win a national championship, but we're right there when it's usually being decided. And that's all that matters.
That was Gino Auriemma. 11 national championships, 23 Final Fours, but his team came up just short on Friday night in the national semis to Iowa, 71-69. It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk and Cova Sports TV. We'll be shifting from the women's game to the men's game in just a moment. Ed, but your comments there, it seemed like, and you would know this being a veteran digger, as I call it. You say a digger, make little digs. It seemed like if you read between the lines there, that was a little dig that Dawn Staley's living rent-free in his head a little bit. I tell you what, that's, you know, talking about South Carolina, I hate to say Gino's a little bitter, a little threatened, but does he feel like maybe he's no longer the man on the mountaintop, that Dawn is taking over his territory a little bit? Or did you hear it a different way, which you might have heard it a different way than I did?
Gino is coming across as, first of all, he's a victim of his own success. It's really what it is. He's turned women's basketball at a time upside down, dominating so much. Remember the hate towards him by some of the female coaches in the business a few years back. I think most have got over that. He's been accepted. Not saying he's truly loved. And people that win as consistent as he does, a lot of times are going to have more haters than lovers on you. I mean, it's just the way it is. And maybe anything in life. And I think he's right in terms of, I think yearly people expect him to win 36 games, 33 games, and be in the championship. Not in the NCAA tournament alone, Elite Eight, whatever. Be in the championship game. That's the program he has established. And when they're not, and he went through a lot of adversity this year with the injuries and whatever, people will come back and say, oh, he must be losing it. He's not getting those kind of girls anymore. Dawn Staley's the queen. They're undefeated. Look at this Iowa out of nowhere. They got a Caitlin Clark. How come UConn didn't get a Caitlin? And I think he's lashing out without lashing out, though he used the P word, that he says, hey, you know, let's talk about what we have done. Let's talk about that we did get here. We're not going to win it all the time. And those people that are loving on the other teams, he's thrown a little bit of barbs at him too. And I just think that's the way it looks at. And he's going to be one of the all-time greatest. I've often been asked, could he coach in the men's basketball? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Absolutely. Don Staley can coach college men, NBA men.
Remember, Gino used to be at UVA, by the way, where Don was an All-American and one of the best to play the game as well.
Yeah, so, I think that's just what we're looking at is sometimes – because sometimes on the girls' side, you see the same teams every year. This is why I don't like the women's tournament where they bracket number ones on their home court for the most part.
You're not alone in that. A lot of people don't like that. They need to change
that needs to stop.
But, part of that, Ed, is they don't feel like the game can support itself as far as getting enough revenue for – but that's what they feel. That's part of the reasoning.
It is the reason. It is the absolute reason. And I'm saying it's ridiculous. Let the women stand on their own. The backing is strong. I don't know if the women's game universally will ever be on par with the men's, because a lot of people just don't gravitate to it. I was going to ask this to Karen, but Karen touched on it. When we saw Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark kind of go at it last year, that drew people's interest. Trash talking drew the interest. Then we realized, these girls can play. And we see trash talking. We see fancy moves on the men's side of it. Men play a lot of times above the rim, the alley-oops, which will draw people. Women's basketball, John Wooden used to say he'd rather sit down and watch a women's college game the entirety than a men's game the entirety, because the women executed better, shot better, fundamentally better. And when you really sit down and look at that, for a lot of times it is. I have trouble with the speed sometimes of the women game. I like to see where the men are going up and down.
You didn't have trouble with it Monday night because that LSU-Iowa game was get some oxygen. That was breathtaking.
Athletes all over the place.
45 at the half.
And that's why I say to people, these new jump on the bandwagons, women's basketball, I think, has been always good. Look at the names that have been there, the ones we kind of threw out some names. They've been there. Old Dominion women basketball was the early UConn of women's basketball. Back when it was the AIWA, I think it was an association before they became NCAA involved. So people just have to understand it. It goes back to what I say. People don't understand history. Even in the NBA, LeBron's 50 million times better than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan didn't play against anybody. Wilt Chamberlain, he played a bunch of plumbers and firemen. And I keep saying to these people, please do go back and read your history. And I don't argue with these people because, as I always said, you can't argue with people that are brainless, because you're going to lose the argument because they don't know any better.
Let's quickly hear that little Caitlin Clark snippet before we take a timeout and bring in Steve Lappas. Here's about that last play where she bounced it off a defender. I love this one. Here's what she said in the post-game presser.
I think it's just like I watch a lot of basketball. I understand basketball, and she had her back turned to me. So the biggest point, the biggest thing at that point of the game is like you just want the clock to go down, and I mean, you don't want to give them the ball, but she had her back completely turned. So I was just trying to waste some clock, and just came to my brain, so I just went for it and kind of worked.
Listen, a lot of men's players, women's players, pro players can take a page out of her book. Instead of these leads shrinking like that, that's using your noodle. Like that by Caitlin Clark at the end of the ball game. Let's take a timeout real quickly here from Zoop Eatery and AstroTurf CHKD Town Bank before we bring in Steve Lappas, he of CBS Sports Network, to break down today's Final Four matchups, which feature the Alabama Crimson Tide out of the SEC, the number 4 seed that outlasted Clemson in an Elite Eight to get to the national semis against defending champ UConn, who's 35-3, had that 30-0 burst against Illinois. And then you also have Purdue, top-seeded Boilermakers, 33-4. Taking on 26-14 NC State, the number 11 seed, which knocked out Duke in the Elite Eight. Purdue winning a close one with Tennessee. Still waiting for Steve here. Hopefully get him in just a moment. But as we wait for him, we will take a time out and hear from some of the sponsors, like I said, that make it possible for us to do this with you each and every weekend, including the likes of Zoop Eatery, AstroTurf, CHKD, and Town Bank. Should be hearing from Mr. Lappas in just a moment, right here on Cova Sports TV.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also available on Instagram and Twitter and X and VirginiaPreps.com and all over the web. And we are now joined by one of the best in the business. Ed, you know him from your coaching days many, many moons ago. He coached at Villanova, now giving you the breakdown and the analysis with CBS Sports Network. Steve Lappas with us. Steve, thanks for joining us. Should be a fun day of hopes, Final Four action. Alabama taking on the defending champion UConn, Purdue, another top seed, taking on NC State, the darling. Just how you had your bracket like Ed and me, right?
Perfect. But I just want to say I hadn't seen Ed in so long, and it's great to see you and be back on and be on with you. It's just, we go back a long, long way. There's no doubt.
Did you recruit any of his kids when you were at Villanova? Or?
We weren't that good.
Okay.
Not. Maybe I'd still be coaching if I did. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, we're Steve. I'm just glad to see you. I mean, it's been so long. I've been following you, and Matt's going to have to temper us because we could be on here with 5-star stories, Villanova stories, just so much stuff. And I know you're wanted by many people. You're going to be on the broadcast and all that, and we're going to try to get our 15 minutes with you. And remember, like I told you earlier. And this type of show, when you got to go, all you got to do is say, gentlemen, I'm out. I'll see you. We understand that. We respect that. But we got Steve on, and I go back to the 5-star days. It was one of the greatest camps ever. And Howie Garfunkel gave you that nickname, which unbelievable, the Latin from Manhattan, because you've been from a couple different places. And I was pissed when you stopped coaching because I thought you still had so much to offer. I learned from you at 5-star. We talked a lot about different things. Your insight was so great as a young coach. Not that I think I might even be older than you, but got so much from you at the camp all those years out there sweating at 97 degrees, court 4, Robert Morris, where the chairs were melting into the blacktop. You don't have that kind of stuff no more.
No. Those were great times, Ed. No doubt about it. I mean, we had so much fun talking basketball and just hanging out and, going down to the ground round afterwards at night.
Round, yep.
So, a lot of great memories.
And see how we fallen asleep with a milkshake in one hand and a hamburger in the other at 2:33 in the morning, and we got to get up at 7 for stations.
That's right. It was a great thing, no doubt about it.
Well, while our time is limited with the Latin from Manhattan to basketball junkies and lifers here, I want to jump in. I watched your coverage yesterday. You dropped a great nugget, Steve, on the the show coverage. You said Alabama, if I heard this right, correct me if I'm wrong, they've only made 4 mid-range field goals or baskets that were not layups or threes or outside of free throws. So today, to pull off the upset, to beat mighty UConn, how many threes, layups, points in general do they need to beat this Huskies team, which last week just put on a clinic in the second half against Illinois?
See, here's the thing. Obviously, they need a lot of threes, but the big thing is they need threes from their 3 big guys that are that can shoot threes, because they got to get Donovan Clingan out of the paint. Because what this guy has done defensively during the tournament against Illinois in the Elite 8, Illinois was 5 for 31 from the field when Donovan Clingan was in the game. This guy has affected the game so much. So, Alabama has 3 big guys, Grant Nelson, Sam Walter, and Jaron Stevenson, all 6'10" or better, all that can make threes. Clingan's got to go out and guard these guys. If they are hitting, that's going to change things and allow them to get to the rim every so often. Because, like we said, Nate Oates, he wants to score in the paint, he wants to score outside of 3, or he wants to make free throws. Not going to make any free throws if you're not getting the ball into the paint area. But you're not getting it into the paint area if Donovan Clingan's there. So, yes, I think they need to make 13, 14 threes, but they also got to play a little better defensively. I mean, that's the thing that makes UConn so great. They have the number 1 offense in the country, but they have the number 4 defense. Alabama has a number 3 offense and a number 104 defense. That is a significant difference.
Before I let Ed jump in here and also chime in with you on the Purdue-NC State matchup, I feel like, just to that for a second, people are talking so much about the big man matchup with Zach Edey and DJ Burns, Steve, that I don't know that enough people around the country, you do because you got Big East blood and you see him all the time, they realize and appreciate just how good and what a game changer Donovan Clingan is, because last year he was not the main big man. It was Sonogo, and he played, a bit, but his role and his upside seems like it's through the roof, and he could also be a pretty darn good pro, right?
Yeah, no doubt, because the thing that he can do, and, I know Zach Edey's a great player, but I know Donovan Clingan's more desirable for the NBA guys right now because he's more mobile. He can really run the floor, and he can come out and hedge pick and rolls, which is a big part of the NBA game now, is getting out there and being able to guard pick and rolls. Whereas Zach Edey at 7'4", it's a little bit tougher for him. Not that he doesn't move well for a big guy, but it's a little bit tougher for him. So Clingan's playing like 23 minutes a game. He's averaging 15, 10, 5 blocks in the NCAA tournament. 23 minutes. He's been so good. It's scary.
But Steve, I look at his first game. I think it's at least a 10-point win. UConn. I'm not that I'm disrespecting Alabama. Alabama hasn't shown me enough that they got to stop people. They're just outscoring people. And UConn, I think, can play the up and down style, and they can beat you 50-49 if they have to. And that's why I think it's going to be tough for Alabama. Now, Alabama's this far, so you got to give them credit. Nobody thought they'd be here. They're here. They're I guess, the proverbial house money, and they got shooters, and they're dangerous. But I kind of think it would have to be UConn having one of those days, like, we're not hitting this shot, got in some foul trouble, somebody turned a doggone ankle, one of those kind of situations. Am I way off base, or is this a 50-50 game?
No, you're not way off base, and I totally agree with you. Let's understand this too. You made a great point. UConn their tempo is 315 out of 365 teams. So they play a relatively slow tempo. But you know what? They can run also. So to me, the most successful teams in the NCAA tournament are teams that can play both speeds. And I think UConn, if they want to make this a half-court game, they can. And I think that Alabama would really struggle in a half-court game because they love to get these threes in transition. So that's one of the places where I see a big edge from what you said. They can win the slower game. They can also win the faster game. And let's remember this. Kentucky, and I understand Kentucky was great, and they were home. They put 117 on Alabama in February. 117. UConn, in terms of their efficiency in the half court and full court, They're the best offensive team in the country, and Alabama has not defended well. This could become a half-court game, and I think UConn could really do a number on them.
We're chatting with Steve Lappas of CBS Sports Network. Check out the great coverage he and the team bring you as they get you set pre and post for NC State taking on Purdue, 6:09 Eastern tip on TBS, followed by Alabama taking on UConn, an 8:49 tip. It is Cova Sports TV and 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Ed?
Well, Steve, now we go over to Purdue, NC State. NC State, I guess, is more the darling of the tournament than Alabama. The thing that impressed me about NC State, they have won 9 straight elimination games. And I don't know if people understand that. That's 9 times out. If you lose, it's, get ready for spring sports. You're done. You're out of here. And they have answered the bell every time. Now they got somebody like Purdue, who I just think is another one on the focus path. NC State plays a fun game. DJ Burns everybody loves him. He's a big teddy bear, but who can beat you like a dragon. He's out there. But I just see Purdue dictating tempo. They can go inside, outside, and I think it's a 10-point game. Give me that assessment.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Purdue, because I had them last weekend in the regionals, the thing about Purdue is you have this great big man who really puts a lot of pressure on you and everything that he does for his team, not only scoring, but he's a great passer too for a big guy. But the thing about them is they surround him. Their worst three-point shooter is Lance Jones. He shoots 36% from three. Every other guy is over 40%. So when they go small, when they take a Kaufman-Wren out of the game and they go to Mason Gillis and they got that small team, they got 4 guys around Edey that can shoot. So what do? You double him. He kills you by passing the ball out. If you don't double him, he's so big and he gets to the low block, you're finished. So with him, one thing that NC State needs in this game that Rick Barnes told me last week that he didn't get, Rick Barnes said, we don't need a tight whistle. If you have a tight whistle and you're playing against Zach Edey, you're in trouble because the guy he's breaking records in terms of going to he shot more free throws than anybody since Pete Maravich in 1970. So this guy is going to kill you if the game is called tight. It's a problem because the only way you can even attempt to stop Zach Edey is to be physical with him, meet him halfway down the lane, bump him, don't let him get down low because if he gets to the box, it's over. Now, the other thing is you got to make him go. He loves going to his left shoulder. You got to make him go to the other shoulder. And I'm not saying he can't go to the other shoulder. He can. He's just not as good or as great as he is going the other way. So there's certain things that you have to try with him. And in terms of doubling him, I think early in the game you could double him when Ren Kaufman's in the game. But the other thing, Kaufman-Ren. But the other problem is they're a great offensive rebounding team. He averages 5 offensive rebounds a game, Zach Edey, number 1 in the country. So you got all kinds of problems. I agree with you. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. And I also don't know if DJ Burns is going to be able to score the way he has scored on a guy who's 7'4" like that.
You make an excellent point there, Steve. So, if I heard it right, if you would maybe guess that it could be harder for Burns to get near or above his average than for Purdue to have an off day shooting the basketball, because it felt like last year they were tight, didn't have the 3-point marksman to complement Edey when they got knocked off by Fairleigh Dickinson. This year, they've corrected that and they've gone up, correct me if I'm wrong, about 200 plus spots in the national rankings in 3-point percentage?
Yeah, they're second in 3-point percentage. They're like 280 last year. So, And the other thing that they added this year that was big was Lance Jones, the transfer from Southern Illinois, has really given them a level of athleticism on the perimeter that they did not have last year. And the other thing about Lance Jones is he's a really good defender, and he's going to be guarding DJ Horn, who's been really, really good in this tournament also. So I just think, Purdue, again, they're not as good defensively as Connecticut is, but they are a top 20 defensive team. I think they're going to give NC State a really tough time. And I just can't see NC State doing what they've been doing in the paint against all these teams with Edey in there.
Couple minutes here with Steve Lappas of CBS Sports Network, our guest here on Cova Sports TV and 757 Saturday Sports Talk as we get ready for the Final Four. Alabama taking on UConn and Purdue playing NC State, Ed.
Well, Steve, let's move it on to Monday night. Let's say the 2 favorites. Let's make it easy. The 2 favorites win. UConn, Purdue. Of course, the first thing that flashes in my head, big man matchup. probably the two best teams. Everybody's saying this was the collision course. Go ahead and assess that matchup to us all.
You know, it's a tremendous matchup, obviously. So you got Edey and Klingen in terms of the big guys. I think one of the big issues is for UConn. UConn's got a pretty big perimeter players. So you got Tristan Newton, who's their point guard at 6'5", Stefan Castle, who's 6'6", 6'6.5", who's a tremendous athlete. Those two guys, I think, can make it really hard because the one negative about Purdue is their perimeter players are not that big. You know, so Fletcher Lawyer is got good size, but, you know, Braden Smith's going to have to go against Tristan Newton, who's 6'5". Braden Smith's 6 feet. Lance Jones, who's a good player, is going to have to go up against Stefan Castle. He's 6'3", Castle's 6'6". So I just think that the perimeter players of Purdue are going to have a little bit more trouble against those UConn defenders on the perimeter. I think the Edey Klingen matchup, who's going to get in foul trouble? And that's one of the problems, and that's kind of what Alabama has to hope for tonight. You know, Klingen has picked up 2 fouls early, and getting him out of the game can be a significant thing. That's going to be big on Monday night. Can Edey get Klingen in any kind of foul trouble? That changes a lot of things. And let's face it, Zach Edey has gotten entire teams into foul trouble, let alone guys. So there's a lot of things to look at here in terms of what kind of whistle it's going to be.
Well, you know, and I don't want to disrespect the Alabama people and NC State. I don't think anybody's listening here other than our main guy, Chuck, is a big Alabama fan. So, Chuck, if you're listening, we'll blame it on Steve that he said Purdue and UConn can win. So, because Matt and I need to get a little bit of money to be paid. So, we'll just put it on. Steve makes $1 million a year as it is, so he doesn't matter about getting fussed out. Steve, you know, we're going to have to get you to commit to us in the next few weeks when this all dies down, because we got so much to talk about. I got to hear your stories, your opinions on portal, transfer portal, and NIL.
Coaching changes.
Where is college basketball heading with all this? I've got some opinions. Matt got opinions too. I know your time is short. And by the way, Steve, so much thanks to you, because there's a lot of national networks that need you. They're calling for you right now. They're banging on your door. You got to get your tie tied and get out there and meet the public. And we appreciate you giving us a little time away out here in Virginia Beach. We're not a national podcast. We're growing like crazy. I think we're ranked 3rd in the state already. We just got started a few months ago. And you've helped us do this because, in all honesty, I've heard you on Mad Dog's show, and I've always respected you, but your insight on the game is tremendous. You cut it right down the middle. You don't play favorites. You tell it like it is, which is what I noticed back in the day. So I'm just tickled that, we reconnected, and you're going to hear from me again, and you got to promise you come back on us when you got that time.
That's a promise.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, thank you, Steve.
Ed.
Good seeing you too, Steve. Thanks again.
Steve, Ed used to say he had a face for radio. Now he has a face for podcasting.
I got to be on here now. I got to be on it. Good luck to you, Steve. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys.
We enjoy the coverage. That is the one and only Steve Lappas with us here. We'll take a time out here on Cova Sports TV, 757 Saturday Sports Talk. I tell you what, I'm ready to go run 10 miles. Steve Lappas and Karen Barefoot have me juiced up, man.
He's another
one. He breaks down
really
the game as good as anybody on TV. And listen, we say that with our other buddy we're going to get on, Seth Greenberg. He's right there. Those two are two of the very best former coaches, but we love that he gave us the time to do it. And we've got tons of people that are watching this through our IG Live, by the way, as well as on not just Instagram, but on Facebook, Twitter, X. So a lot of you people out there, if you're getting ready for a basketball Final Four Saturday, that's a treat. You get Steve Lappas and Karen Barefoot, two former coaches, giving you the insight on the men's and women's games.
And again, I tell people, to get Steve Lappas at this time, he's in Arizona at the Final Four, and there's everybody, all the big boys want him, and he's contracted to do a lot of those. You know, he has to do those.
Yeah.
He gave us 15 minutes when he could have said, hey, guys, I would like to. I really wish I could maybe get a hold of me in end of July, and I'll do 5 minutes. So he gave us prime time, and I appreciate that. And a lot of it has to do with our relationship from the past. He's a guy just like Seth.
Yeah, if I let you guys go, you ought to talk about Garfunkel for like 20 more minutes. We wouldn't have got off the time. So,
and we're going to do 5
star for his show, and you'd have been late for your appointment today. So,
hey, if the 5-star stories when Steve and I get back on here, we can write a book.
You can do a whole hour on it. I'll just leave the room and let you guys go. Is what'll happen. I'll just leave the room.
No, you're going to have somebody moderate it because we'd be on here forever.
Leave the room and let you guys go. So,
but to get
matter of fact, let's see here. We got someone that's just chimed in. 5 stars, 68, 69. Great experience of my high school playing experience. Ed, if you remember, you gave me Garth's number and he took my call. We walked for 20 minutes and you remember me from that time. Thank you. Don Verderami.
Don Verderami, man. One of my great friends.
Sorry about that butcher last name, Don. All right.
Get it right. Don was one of my assistants at Altoona High School years ago before he left to take on his own program.
Oh, Don, okay.
And tremendous guy, tremendous with kids. And he remembers those 5-star stories. He was a player there. And no, it's a shame because that camp is still around, but it ain't what it used to be. And kids don't do 5-star camps no more. They go play AAU indoor courts. When you talk about going out to the blacktop in the middle of July at 11 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and literally see the benches sink into the blacktop it'll never happen again. And kids won't understand it. And to see coaches go out and coach at 5-star, and I'm standing next to Patino, Lappas, Valvano came through, UB Brown, who was one of the original coaches at the 5-star camp. These guys were all around, and Seth was there, Dave Odom, Terry Holland, Virginia fame guys. You don't see that anymore. Those coaches, those type of coaches go to the AAU events to go ahead and recruit. But I'm talking on the court instruction. Steve was the head coach at Villanova. Mm-hmm. He's on court 13, which was an instructional court where you can go for extra work if you want. It wasn't mandatory. He'd have like 90 kids in his session. I jump in and help him out. A couple other coaches jump in and help him out. He's the head coach of Villanova off a national championship with Rolly Massimino. And he's out there sweating like crazy, people bringing him water. You just don't see those kind of things anymore. No. And I tell young coaches, you have no clue what it's about how to pay your dues in this business. And that's why sometimes I'm a sharp tongue on some of these young coaches that think they know it all. And you haven't walked in my footsteps. And I'm humbled by those that took me in and helped me learn how to teach kids, how to work with young people. And Steve brings a lot of that back. And I'm very grateful that he gave us the time because he didn't have to.
Yeah, another guy that was in those 5-star, because I went up to him at Peach Jam and dropped your name, and he remembered you I should not be surprised because if they meet Ed Young, they remember that encounter. But it was John Calipari, the coach of Kentucky.
I roomed with John at 5-star twice.
You roomed in him? Wow.
Roomed with John at 5-star twice. He was at UMass, I think, when that happened. Remember now, he's a Clarion graduate, Division II, Pennsylvania. I'm Lock Haven, Division II. Yeah. So we had some stories.
And,
I'm
just going to say this too, by the way, and he gave us a nice little radio bite that we used for many, many years on the ESPN radio here. And I'm not knocking radio, saying radio's dead. I don't want people to take it out of context here, but these are the advantages, and this is what is so neat: the interaction, that give and play. People can see, in addition to hear, that I love podcasting. That's the new wave of the future. That we're so blessed and thankful for the folks at Cova Sports TV giving us this opportunity to do this with you each and every Saturday. That it's the new exploding. There are so many people that used to be in radio that are now doing podcasting, and it's just growing by leaps and bounds. So I'm looking forward to what it has in store for us and for covering the sports scene, be it on a local, statewide, and national realm. As there's limitless opportunities with this that are so exciting, and getting to reconnect with an old friend for you like Steve Lappas there. How about that?
Well, I mean, again, we can get these people on. We've had Timmy Kirchin, another tough get for Major League Baseball, ESPN, and
just in the past month we've had on Steve Lappas, Karen Barefoot, Eli Harold, Jeff Jones, David Glenn. If you missed any of these shows, they're available on our Apple and Spotify podcast to hear. You can also visually watch this as we bring you the sports content with our guests on our YouTube channel, through Facebook, through VirginiaPreps.com, and all the different outlets too. So there's so many different ways. And Don says, thanks for the great memories coaching with you. He was at your 500th win at Deep Creek last year, right? I think I remember seeing it.
No, Don was not. Don's still up in Pennsylvania way.
That's a different Don. That was Don Lyons that was there.
Donnie Lyons from Northern.
I'm getting my Dons mixed up. Okay.
Yeah, Don Verderami.
Dons mixed up. Sorry about that.
Don was with me in Tyrone. He was at Tyrone High School after he left me. We went through. Well, boy, we could give you some Altoona stories that you would just shut the mic off because it'd be unbelievable. Yeah. And Don was just tremendous. I didn't know him. Brought him on board as an assistant. I just liked the way he worked with kids, how he dealt with people. Great character guy. I got to have great character people around me because he's the type of guy that fixes me, helps me, calms me down, makes me understand some things. He has that ability, and those are the kind of assistants I needed and I've had over the years. He's absolutely one of the best I've ever had, and he got screwed at Tyrone as a head coach. Parents, some unrealistic parents. He wanted to sit some kids down and do the program the right way. Some kid had skipped school, and he wanted to bench him, and the principal told him he couldn't. And Don ain't for that. And Don, if you're still out there, again, I appreciate you. I know we reconnected, and I'm really hoping our paths will cross soon. He does come through the area sometimes on his way to the beaches in North Carolina, so that we will connect, because he's an important person in my career. And of course, as I'm going through some tough stuff right now, I don't have a team to coach it right now anymore. So he was one of those guys in the past that really helped me become who I am in coaching.
Well, as we have one more segment before we sign off here on this scintillating Saturday, Final Four Saturday, as we get ready for the matchups in the men's side, the women's championship tomorrow, of course, with Iowa taking on unbeaten South Carolina. You got Purdue and NC State following the Alabama UConn, or I should say, preceding the Alabama UConn game tonight. As we finish up, Ed, we can give you some predictions. And then, do you want to review our NBA over-unders? Or wait till next week when the regular season's finally finishing up, as I start to smile. So, I'm ready to do it.
I know you want to do it now because you're kicking my butt. You want to brag about it. And
well, you beat me in baseball. I beat you in basketball. Football.
I won in football.
No. I won in football this year. I won both for the first time.
See, this is what I don't understand. This is why I can't win in anything we do.
You were beating me. You were beating me all year in football until like the last 4 weeks of the season. Then
because
you had the late swoon, and
you changed your picks in the middle of it. You coerced kids to fall down instead of scoring.
I did not do anything.
You had guys missing shots in the NBA. There's a conspiracy, and you're in the middle of it.
If that was the case, if I had guys missing shots in the NBA, my bank account would tell you otherwise. So.
Well, and see, and my attorney has woke up here because he heard conspiracy. He's hearing you're in the middle of some potentially betting scandals.
No, I'm not in any scandals.
So Vinny is going to probably go investigate. Vinny, you going to investigate? He's
by the way, real quickly as we go to break and get ready to finish up on our last little short segment here, because I know you have the dart. Were you at all annoyed, like a lot of people were? The NBA fined the 76ers for putting on its injury report on Tuesday that Joel Embiid was out. And the next thing you know, he plays in that game. I think it was a Turner game against the Thunder that they actually rallied to win in the closing minutes. Are you at all, and this could apply to Major League Baseball, this could apply to the NFL with Bill Belichick for years, they had injury reports. Do you have a problem, and not just for the wagering community out there, I'm not even talking about them so much, do you have a problem with falsifying or not being truthful or forthcoming with the injury report, which is supposed to be made public, and it's a requirement, and you do get fined and punished and penalized if you do not comply with those leagues' rules for? Do you have a problem with it? Because I have a problem with it. I don't have as big a problem as some do, but I do feel like we're trying to hide. It's almost like, from, again, covering high school sports like I've done for 20 plus years, it almost feels like the guy who reaches out to the coaches, and I do this for the state tournament as well, for your stats or your info about your team for the surveys, and you're afraid to give out that info because you're so paranoid someone's going to get your info. It comes off like that with these injury reports. Do you get the analogy I'm trying to make here? It almost comes off that way, where it's like, just comply with the rules and stop being like you're hiding something or you don't want people to know. I just feel like it's silly. How about you?
If it's a requirement, you said it is. Yes. Everybody has to do it, which they do. You're getting fined if you don't. I would have a problem with it. Now, if they say it's optional, I'm probably not doing it. It's an advantage to say a guy's not playing and then he is going to play against a team. Now, I'm the opposing coach, and I'm thinking, okay, Embiid's not playing. I got to worry about him. Whoa, he's in warmups. He's playing. Okay, maybe I should have prepared for him, but I was told he wasn't. Now he's out here. That's why I say if it's a requirement, the NBA does make it a requirement, fine. But who's the requirement for? Is it for the bettors out there? Is it for fans? Or is it?
Well, I don't think it's for the bettors so much, Ed, as here's what I would tell you. When the leagues are knee deep with these companies, whether it be, again, fill in the blank, FanDuel, DraftKings, XYZ, it feels like you have an allegiance to just them, but also to your fan base and to all your sponsors that you have to have some integrity. So if a team is saying a guy's out and then 20 minutes before the game or 45 minutes before the game, he's all of a sudden suiting up, and that shifts a pregame line, and that shifts any type of coverage of the game or any type of whatever it might be, it does feel like something, especially in a league where there's already questions about the officiating. You got Kelly Oubre, by the way, going over to officials after a Sixers loss to the Thunder, which includes our own local referee from our area, from Virginia Wesleyan and Princess Anne High fame, Brendan Adair, saying, you a bleep, you a bleep, you a bleep, and yo mama's a bleep, yo mama's a bleep, yo mama's a bleep. Like, you've already got players in the league that have been fined this year questioning the integrity of the officiating, which is not a good thing. It's not. I don't think that's a good thing for any sport. NBA, NFL, or Major League Baseball, or fill in the blank. So.
No, it shouldn't be. You can't question integrity. NBA, and this we can be on this for hours. NBA needs some tidying up. It's a league run by players. I'm sick and tired of the load management, which is really, I don't feel like playing. I'm going to sit out.
Well, real quick, is that the players' fault or the front offices? Because I think it's more on the front offices than the players, and the players get beat up more for it because – and look at what the Mavericks – remember, I went off on radio last year about what Dallas Mavericks did at the end of the year with Mark Cuban and them basically tanking to get a better draft pick than to try to make the play-in. I thought that was a disgrace and an utter joke. And I don't want to say the Houston Rockets are doing the same thing right now, but the Houston Rockets are pretty much out of the mix, so they're technically mathematically alive, as you see our ticker giving you the NBA standings right now. And guess what? They're probably not going to win another game because at this point, this young team has overachieved, and it feels like they're gassed, and it feels like they might just wave the red flag.
Yeah, I think it's a definite because if you're the lower level team and you haven't done much all year, why would you want to go to playoffs and you're playing against 1 and 2? The play-in game, the little play-in tournament, I think it's a joke. NBA loves it. I think it's a joke. The tournament they have at the beginning of the year, I still don't understand it. What for? Well, we got to bring more eyes and it brings more revenue. And it's a joke. You play your regular games and play the games hard. Tell the players they got to play unless you got a legit injury defined by a league doctor that you need to sit. Then I'm okay with that. I just don't like how I'm an NBA fan. I love basketball. I like watching it. Just went down and watched a couple games last week in Charlotte. I enjoy watching the games. I don't want to see clown acts out there.
That's where you were. You were in Charlotte. Oh, I know. Was it Joe or Jeff or what his name was in Norfolk City? Saw you on TV. That's where he saw you, was in Charlotte. I knew you were somewhere.
Yep, I was about 9 rows behind Charlotte bench on Friday night against the Warriors, and then I was a little bit higher up against the Clippers. By the way, Paul George put on a show. I mean, Paul George gained more respect from me, dropped 41 that night on Brandon Miller. Now, Brandon Miller's going to be very good. He is a younger Paul George, and they are good friends, apparently. They've done some workouts and all that together. Brandon Miller's going to be very good. The Hornets just don't have enough right now. But Clippers –
Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yep, and the Clippers, I love Russell Westbrook. He got into it with a couple fans. I had to bring security over because I
thought that was your nephew he was arguing with.
Well, some people thought it was me, but I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan. I would never get into it with him. Yeah. If I could have got close enough, it would have been one I would have maybe try to get an autograph with or maybe a picture with. I think he's a tremendous player. I know he's a little bit past his prime, but I think he's one of the best. I really think he's one of the best top 50 players of all time in the NBA because he did so much at both ends. And he still shows that out there now, but he's just not as productive as he was. And you know, some people say the big man game is dead in the NBA. Clippers got the big guy inside. Now I can't remember. 7'2". That kid can play inside.
Like
Zubac. That's it. Zubac.
Yeah, Zubac.
That kid can
pronounce his first name.
And they went to him a whole lot. Charlotte has a younger guy. I think a kid from Kentucky inside there, still a little green around the gills, that needs to give him a little bit more experience. But Clippers had a very good inside game. They also got some other good young players in there. But the NBA game needs, I think, fixed up a little bit. And I'm a little worried about sometimes with the bettors and all that and some of the shenanigans that do go on, and you start to wonder what's really happening. And there are some NBA referees that need to get tidied up themselves too.
We have at least a couple from our area, Brendan Adair and Tony Brothers, that are 757 legends, if you will. We're going to take our final timeout, come back with a short segment to close out this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk a little bit earlier this morning so that Ed can tend to some things he has to do today. We'll give you some picks to finish up on the Final Four. You'll see a nice little highlight and a little small interview we did with a player, Ed, who's playing on ESPN today for a national championship from our state. Who is that? It's a short interview, but you'll see it when we come back here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us your thoughts, interact with us, and we'll be back to close out this show right here after we hear from the sponsors that make it possible. Stay tuned.
It's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Yeah. So Kerstad is out. One down, ninth inning. Kobe Mayo the batter. And there's a home run. Oh, my. Oh, that ball. That was hammered. That ball is halfway to Kannapolis. And it's now a 9-8 game. Kobe Mayo, the top 3 prospect, number 3 in the Orioles organization, according to Baseball America, just knocked that one way out of here. That was one of the...
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
All right, it's Cova Sports TV, 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the coach Ed Young, who will be back with me momentarily. It has just come out that Vince Carter has been selected to the Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2024. Class will be inducted August 16th through the 17th. I did tease before we went to break, and you'll now get a chance to hear it, that coming up at 12 noon today, I think it's on ESPN2, Darren Harris and Paul VI will be taking on Montverde Academy, I believe it is, in the Chipotle Nationals Championship for high school basketball. And with this event, we have Paul VI up there from Northern Virginia on the outskirts of D.C. playing for the title. It's actually at 12 o'clock. Yeah, ESPN2 it is. And we caught up with Darren Harris, who's headed to Duke to play his college basketball. He'll be teammates with Cooper Flagg, who plays for Montverde Academy. Today, they're enemies, they're opponents, but they'll soon be teammates. We caught up with Darren Harris back at the end of February, early March, I think it was end of February, after he won a state championship, and he was just named the Gatorade State Player of the Year in Virginia. But here's what he told us after his team beat St. Anne's Belfield, as it is 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV.
All right, I'm here with the Paul VI sharpshooter headed to Duke, Darren Harris, 24 points, 14 boards, a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line as Paul VI holds off St. Anne's Belfield 72-62 in the VISAA Division I State Championship. I want to know, when you go to the foul line, you're known as maybe the best shooter in the state, one of the best in the country. The ball doesn't even hit the rim. It just goes through the net. I mean, nerves of steel, how do you continue to do this without any pressure and the game's getting hectic like it is?
I mean, yeah, I get a lot of extra work in, and like before I hit the line, I just visualize them in the gym alone. Working out with my dad, and it works every time. There's no pressure. I can't feel the pressure. I'm just thinking about the extra reps I get up. So, I mean, yeah, it's just a mental thing for me.
Fourth quarter, they're coming at you. Chance Mallory's playing great. Now, I know you're a Duke guy. It was Jordan Ness, that fadeaway you hit after those couple of threes. Tell me about that shot because it seemed like it demoralized him a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I look at pressure as a good thing. Growing up, I wanted to be in the situation. I want the pressure to be on me, and it's not time to fold up now. So I think I do a good job handling pressure. And as the season went along, I did a better job handling pressure.
I know your dad being a coach, you want to give your teammates a lot of shine. It wasn't yourself, though you get a lot of the attention here. Tell us about what your teammates did, like Jordan Smith today, Jaquan Womack, Ben Hammond, Isaiah Abraham, and others to get you guys that big lead in the first half before you got going late.
I mean, yeah, I just trusted them in the first half to hold the fort down. I knew when the time comes, I can step up when I need to. I think they did a good job of that. When they're playing their best, it opens more stuff up for me, so I appreciate them a lot.
I know it's not over. You got nationals coming up, but what's it been like to win 3 of these state championships and playing for Coach Stroll in this program that's a lot of pride, tradition? You take everybody's best shot. What's it been like for you?
I mean, yeah, today was probably the hardest state championship we played. They brought a lot of energy. The crowd was really into it. We haven't really seen that the past couple of state championships. So, I think this one's a little bit sweeter.
Sure. 2 more for you. What are you going to remember most about this season and this championship today? What's going to be the memories that you take on for your lifetime, if you will?
Just how together this team is. Like, we never fold under pressure because we're so together, we're so locked in. I think we had a lot of adversity throughout the season, and this game we had a lot of adversity, but we never cracked because we have really good chemistry.
Lastly, you've had so many accolades from All-American Player of the Year, playing for Team Takeover, all that. What's next for you in terms of your individual craft, A, and then B, you got nationals before you go up to Durham. What do you want to accomplish before you get off to college basketball?
I mean, yeah, obviously we got nationals coming up, so I'm locked in on that. But just in terms of college, I'm just gonna work my butt off every day to get ready for that, and hopefully I can be ready to compete my butt off every day in practice every year.
East sinking jumpers and winning championships. Darren Harris, thank you so much. Congrats.
No problem.
So there you heard it. That's Paul the Six sharpshooter Darren Harris, who signed to play his college hoops in the ACC at Duke. And you know what? So far in the Chipotle Nationals, we'll call it Chipotle. They don't sponsor our show because that's the name of the actual tournament that ESPN is broadcasting today. They're taking on Montverde Academy, coached by Kevin Boyle, Glenn Furlow's Panthers, with Darren Harris, among others. Patrick Nabongo, who's going to Duke, has been hurt, but they've had Garrett Sundra in their lineup, who's going to Notre Dame. Ben Hammond, point guard, going to Rhode Island. Jordan Smith's a big-time player. Isaiah Abraham, who is kin to Taj Abraham, who played at Kickintan. He's going to UConn, trying to go back-to-back with National Champ this week. But Darren Harris, 36 points, 5 of 9 from 3, 7 boards, 28 points, 8 of 16 from 3, 5 boards. Actually, he's averaging, in the tournament so far, 28 points per game, 8 of 16 from 3, 5.5 rebounds per game. He had a 20-point game and a 36-point game. Flags coming off a 28-6 game. So before we do our college men's and women's picks for the Final Four here, 6 Montverde Academy today at noon. I'm going PVI to win this one by 4, even though Montverde Academy beat Columbus 84-70, and Columbus out of Florida beat Paul VI this year. Paul VI beat IMG Academy 101-89. Link Academy of Missouri 58-44. Like UConn, they can win a high-scoring game, a half-court game. They have the weapons. They have the best shooter in the country, maybe the best shooter I've seen since doing this. And Mr. Harris, you just heard from. He's cool, calm, and collected. His free throws barely touch the net or touch the rim. I'm going PVI to win a national championship today and represent the Commonwealth of VA.
I'll join in. I'll agree with you.
Okay. You're not going to disagree.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one.
You know what I don't agree with? Vince Carter's been selected to the Basketball Hall of Fame, as you see on our screen there. But what I do not agree with so vehemently is that Chauncey Billups has also been selected to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And I think that's a reach.
I thought the same thing when I heard this. I thought Carter, okay. Billups, good player.
It's now becoming the Hall of Very Good. And I hate to crap on a guy's day today making the Hall of Fame, but he is not, to me, Hall of Fame material I don't love that at all.
Yeah, I'd almost have to want to see who else was up for nomination who did not make it, and he made it over that person. Then I would be able to say a little bit more. But I questioned it at first. Not a Chauncey hater, tough player when he played. I just don't think him as a Hall of Famer. That's all.
Yeah, I don't either. I think we're just letting the Hall of Very Good in. Need to be a harder grader like we are in the baseball realm of things. All right, let's do the picks here as we finish up for the men's and women's championships. Give us today your point spreads. You've got NC State, a 9.5 point pup against Purdue. UConn, an 11.5 point favorite against Bama. Not to steal the thunder of Mike Francesa, who I love listening to, who picked UConn 100-80, but I think UConn wins by double digits. I'll lay the 11.5. And I think Purdue will have a couple rocky moments, but they will ultimately pull away because a lot like what Steve Lappas said. I just think Edey draws so many fouls and Burns plays at angles, and I'm not sure he can do that today. And NC State, they've been on a great ride here, but I think they've met their match in Purdue. I don't see them hitting enough outside shots. I think Purdue will be consistent and efficient enough. I think Purdue covers. I think UConn covers. I'll say UConn by 14 and Purdue by 12.
I'm kind of echoing that. I'm thinking Alabama UConn game should be high scoring. And I think it's going to, even though that's Alabama's style, I think it's going to hurt them against UConn. And I see UConn winning that by probably 13. And Purdue.
Oh, we know who's yelling roll tide. Now, listen, if Mark Sears gets 30, Chuck's out there. If Mark Sears gets 30, I give Bama a chance to keep this tight late. Even if UConn has, look, you heard Steve say 13, 14 plus threes. If Bama hits 20 threes, that's still 60 points. And then they get 20 more from the foul, it's 80 points. You might need 95 to beat UConn from what I saw last Saturday against Illinois. It's nothing against Alabama. It's just UConn is playing that well right now. I can't see them losing.
And again, you better be making a lot of those threes because you're not getting the rebounds on the miss. So you're giving UConn more possessions. In a high-scoring game, both teams have a lot of possessions. That favors UConn tremendously. Alabama's defense doesn't dig in quite as much as you need to a game of this stature. And it's nothing against, in a small way, I think Alabama has a greater chance of beating UConn than NC State of beating Purdue. When I look at Purdue, NC State, NC State's going to give them a pretty good battle, but I think Purdue pulls away in the end, and I think that's
you could be basing it on them getting Latrell Wright back, who's their best outside shooter for Bama, to go with Spears and the weapons they have and the scoring punch they have, that if UConn was to have a subpar shooting day and Bama's hitting their shots, they could outscore them. I don't think NC State has the firepower because although if Edey gets in foul trouble, you always say all bets are off for Purdue, but it feels like, if Klingon gets in foul trouble, they don't blink. They don't miss a beat. They have Caravan knocking down threes. They have guys that can stretch the floor. And Stephon Castle, so get ready to say, Stephon Castle is the best pro prospect in this Final Four, I think, for UConn. The young guard who can play multiple positions, switch, versatile. He can do it all. All right, so we get a championship Monday night before we get to the women pick. UConn, Purdue, what's your selection? Then I'll follow up.
Again, I'm staying with UConn all the way through. I picked them back in the summer, I think, to go back.
By how many? And by the way, this is a projected line. It's not official yet. It could obviously shift as far as a couple of points given the outcome. But if we did get that matchup that many expect us to have of Purdue and UConn, the projected line right now is 5.5 for UConn. And I think that's about right. Go ahead. What do you think?
I was going to say 7. I'd say UConn by 7.
I was going to say UConn by 6.
So and I'm picking UConn, but obviously Purdue's good enough to win that, and that would be interesting in terms of, again, to get the two big guys going against each other. Titus Edney has done a good job. And by the way, people say Edney, he's going to struggle in the NBA. He's going to play in the NBA.
Zach Edey.
Yeah, Edey's going to play in the NBA.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to play in the NBA. I don't know if he'll be a star, all-star, whatever.
He's a backup center, second-round pick.
He's going.
Nothing wrong with that. He's a better Luka Garza.
Don't be surprised. He
sneaks in the late first. He could sneak in the late first, depending on need. It's possible.
He could be first round. I'm not saying lottery.
He's not being a top 10 pick.
No, I don't think he's lottery, but at the same time,
if he's a top 10 pick, I'll do a month worth of shows in one of your suits.
Here we go.
Crazy.
I'll do
a month worth of shows in one of your suits. He ain't a top 10 pick.
Just wear the Yankee uniform, Yankee hat.
Sorry, Jimbo out there who thinks he's not a top 10 pick. Women's championship game, Iowa, South Carolina. The line is 6.5. South Carolina 6.5 is the line. You're going to go what, by 10?
South Carolina by 12.
I'm going to surprise you here. Now remember, I'm the same guy. I'll eat my crow. I said last week I thought Colorado was going to beat Iowa. Boy, was I ever wrong. Iowa spanked them in the Sweet 16. Where was that defense? Give me my theme music back, prime time, Dion. I think Iowa will cover the spread and they won't win the game, but I like them plus the 6.5. And the reason being, I think South Carolina gets up 15-20, and of course I can hear the detractors. Yeah, then the official's going to make sure this game gets tight because they don't want Caitlin to lose. Stop that. If I see one more Facebook post or a person post that on social media, I'm going to reach through the computer screen or my phone and smack them upside the head. But I do think Iowa's 3-point game, and South Carolina's got a little, shaky with some leads at times in this tournament against Oregon State and against Indiana in the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16 rounds. I will say that they get a backdoor cover, if you will, and the Gamecocks win by 5. So I'll take the points with that. But I think it's South Carolina, UConn. I think it's ho-hum, and then we get ready for the Masters next week. Ed, golf, and the PIT, and some Norfolk Tides baseball. We'll go around to the Harbor Park and have some fun with all that. Sports are here. Spring sports are here.
Just want Nick to know, last week I picked the winner of the race. He did.
Did you? Wait. If
I
you
had Denny
picked the
Hamlin
winner of the race,
I had Denny Hamlin.
By the way, you see Denny Hamlin's doing a walk today with our buddy Frank the Tank from Barstool. Did you see that? We got to get Frank. We got to get Frank the Tank on this show. There's just one problem. We have to make sure he doesn't curse, because if he curses, we're cursed.
But I didn't see Nick.
If we can get an interview with Frank the Tank, that might even be our most in-demand interview. The diehard Mets and Devils and Miami Dolphins fan. It would be great. He's meeting Charles Barkley. He's become a national phenomenon, like Caitlin Clark.
All for just going off and cussing and almost having a heart attack.
Well, but he is beloved by Americans everywhere. You got Barkley.
Well, he represents most Americans. That's
represents the American. That's what makes sports. He is the American fan, no question.
But I did not see Nick.
He met Francesa a month ago. Yeah,
I didn't see Nick come on today and say, "Congrats, Coach Young. You picked Denny Hamlin." See, once again,
what do you want? A banner? You want like a bouquet of flowers? What do you want?
I win certain things, nobody sends me flowers. But when I'm wrong, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. He's on a 22-game losing streak.
That's an exaggeration.
All of this goes on. That's why I got my attorney. My attorney's doing some things.
You get your attorney. Take us to court. Ed wants his flowers for getting a NASCAR race correct. There you go.
Right.
Who's racing this week? Who's your pick this week? And we'll go back and find the video.
I don't know if they're racing this week. Probably out of gas. Well, the price of gas is up. They're probably not racing this week because people can't afford the gas. I'm not sure. I don't keep up with as close. I'm good at picking some winners. If the carburetors don't fall apart or they get a flat tire on turn number 7, I'm usually pretty good. Okay, but Nick didn't give us if there was a race today because I feel good. I feel like I can pick the next winner.
I think it's Martinsville, right? Isn't it Martinsville? That's where Frank is doing his walk this morning with Denny Hamlin. He said he's been doing walks. Alan Houston, Mike Francesa, Denny Hamlin. He's doing these walks, and to his credit, he's losing weight, which is great. He's doing these walks with all these famous sports people, and he's become this. He's making beef Wellington, which is great. Watch him make beef Wellington and get 1 million views. It's wonderful.
Hey, no disrespect to Frank the Tank. I'm not eating anything he makes. I don't care if he takes it out of a package and warms it up in the microwave. I'm not eating anything Frank the Tank does. I'm sorry. That's just me.
We are out of time. This was fun, Ed. Enjoy your Yankees. Enjoy your birthday weekend. We'll get you some flowers to make you feel better. And we'll do it again next week here on Cova Sports TV. And I think we're going to be at the PLEX next week because, I have an ODU football spring game, but I can still make it over to the PLEX next week. You probably can too. And we'll have a jolly good time. How about that? A jolly good time.
Yep, I think we'll be at the play. We haven't been there in a few weeks, so we'll make a appearance, go back there and see some of the kiddies out there playing in the stadium and all that, and maybe pick up a few shekels too. So
share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV. It's where you get all your sports coverage, high school, college, pro. We got Tides. We've got local high school sports, 7-on-7 passing league that just concluded and wrapped up. We'll have some interviews from some of the football players as they get ready for football season, recruits, prospects out there. We're going to go to the PIT. We might even go to that Squires reunion, which is Friday night, by the way. over there in Portsmouth. They're bringing back some greats. I understand Dr. J, Iceman Gervin, Dave Twardzik are supposed to be there. At least that's what they're promoting, which will be an awesome time. So we might make a cameo over there. And we'll do it again next week with Vinny. What is it? Not Vinny Vici. It's Vinny.
Vinny Vanu. Vinny Vanu.
All right. We'll get Vinny a nameplate so I can get his name right. And thanks to all the folks that make it possible, from Chuck and Nick and the entire team and Jack as well. This has been 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Enjoy your Final Four weekend, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time from the PLEX.